The room was quiet, the kind of quiet that only existed deep inside a ship traveling between stars. Soft blue lights ran along the metal walls, dimmed to night cycle mode. The human inside the room sat at a small desk, his back straight, his eyes focused on a floating data screen. His name was Aaron Cole. He was a junior reconnaissance officer of the United Human Fleet. Not important enough to command others, not famous enough to be noticed, and that was exactly why he had been placed on this ship. His job was simple on paper: observe, record, and report. Do not interfere, do not stand out. Aaron liked that. He had learned early in his military training that surviving often meant being invisible. The ship he was on was not fully human. It was a joint research vessel, shared between humans and several allied alien species. It drifted through neutral space, studying strange energy patterns near an unclaimed star system. Most of the crew slept during this cycle. Aaron should have been asleep too, but he could not. Something about the data felt wrong: small inconsistencies, tiny delays. Patterns that almost formed a shape but stopped just short of making sense. He leaned forward, rubbing his eyes, then adjusted the screen again. "Just tired," he muttered to himself. He took a breath and reached for his water pack. That was when the door opened. It did not slide open with a sound. It did not flash a warning light or announce an entry. It simply opened. Aaron froze. His hand stopped halfway to the water pack. His breath caught in his chest. His mind, trained for emergencies, went completely still. Someone stood in the doorway. She was tall, taller than most humans, with pale silver skin that reflected the room's blue light. Her eyes were large and dark, with faint rings of light moving slowly within them like distant stars. She wore no uniform Aaron recognized, just a smooth, dark outfit that clung closely, designed for movement rather than display. She stepped inside and the door closed behind her. Aaron did not move. Every alarm in his head was screaming, but his body stayed perfectly still. Human training kicked in before fear could. Assess, observe, do not provoke. The alien woman looked around the room calmly, as if she belonged there. Her gaze moved from the desk to the walls, then finally rested on Aaron. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "You are awake," she said at last. Her voice was smooth and clear. It was not mechanical, not translated. She was speaking perfect human English. Aaron swallowed slowly. "Yes," he said. His voice sounded steady even to himself. "You're in a restricted area." "I know." "You bypassed security." "Yes." Every answer was short, honest, not defensive. Aaron's fingers twitched near the desk. His emergency call switch was right there. One touch and the room would flood with security drones. The woman's eyes flicked to his hand. "If you press that," she said calmly, "everyone on this ship will die." Aaron stopped moving. His heart started pounding now, hard enough that he felt it in his ears. "That's a serious claim," he said. "I do not make unserious ones." She took a step closer. Aaron noticed how quietly she moved, how balanced her posture was. This was not a scientist. This was someone trained. "Who are you?" he asked. "My name does not matter yet," she replied. "What matters is that you listen." "Why me?" That question slipped out before he could stop it. The woman tilted her head slightly, studying him. "Because you froze," she said. "Most humans would have shouted, reached for a weapon, or attacked. I'm unarmed." "You did not know that I knew that." Aaron said nothing. She continued. "You assessed, you waited, you chose stillness. That is why you were selected." "Selected for what?" Before she could answer, a faint vibration passed through the floor. It was subtle, but Aaron felt it through the soles of his boots. The woman's eyes narrowed. "They are already moving faster than predicted," she said. "Who is they?" Aaron asked. Instead of answering, she reached into her outfit and pulled out a small, flat object. With a quick motion, she pressed it against the wall. The blue lights flickered, then went dark. The room fell into shadow. Only the faint glow from the stars outside the small window remained. Aaron stood slowly, keeping his hands visible. "You just cut power to my room," he said. "Yes, that will be noticed." "It already has been." Outside the door, faint sounds echoed through the corridor. Footsteps, heavy ones, more than one set. Aaron's pulse quickened. "Security patrol," he whispered. The woman shook her head. "Not your security." She moved closer again, lowering her voice. "Your ship has been compromised, not by enemies, by observers." "Observers? A coalition," she said. "Older than your species, stronger than most you know. They have watched humanity since your first radio signals reached space." Aaron felt a chill. "That's not possible," he said. "We would have known." She looked at him with something that might have been pity. You assume detection equals permission. The footsteps outside grew louder. What do they want? Aaron asked. The woman's expression hardened. To decide whether humanity should be allowed to continue expanding. Aaron stared at her. That's insane. From your perspective, she agreed. From theirs, it is survival. The footsteps stopped outside his door. Someone or something was standing there. The woman leaned closer, her face now only inches from his. If they find me here, she whispered, your species will be erased. Aaron's mind raced. This could be a lie, a manipulation, an attempt to test loyalty or cause panic. Everything he had learned told him to doubt extraordinary claims. But his instincts, those quiet, hard-earned instincts, told him something else. She was afraid, not panicked, not desperate, afraid in a controlled, focused way. Why are they hunting you? He asked. Because I disagree with the decision. A soft hum came from the door, a scanning sound. Aaron acted. He did not shout. He did not run. He reached behind his desk and pulled out a small maintenance panel, yanking it free. Inside were exposed wires and a compact emergency battery. What are you doing? The woman asked. Buying time, he replied. He crossed the room in 3 quick steps and slammed the panel against the door controls. Sparks flew. The hum outside stopped abruptly. The woman watched him with widened eyes. You understand ship systems, she said. I understand enough to break them, Aaron replied. The footsteps outside shifted, confused now. The woman moved fast. She placed her hand on the door, closed her eyes, and for a brief moment, faint lines of light appeared on her skin. Aaron felt pressure in his head like the air itself was tightening. Then it passed. The footsteps retreated. Silence returned. Aaron let out a breath he did not realize he had been holding. He leaned against the desk, suddenly aware of how hard his heart was beating. What did you just do? He asked. I bent their perception, she said. Only briefly, it will not work again soon. Aaron laughed quietly, a short sound without humor. This night just keeps getting better. She looked at him seriously. You should be afraid. I am, he said. I'm just functioning anyway. That earned him a long look. You truly do not see it, she said. See what? Why they fear you. She stepped back, giving him space. Humans endure stress in ways no other species does, she continued. Your minds fracture less easily. Your emotions drive you, but they do not fully control you. You adapt. Aaron shrugged slightly. We just do what we have to. That, she said softly, is exactly the problem. The ship's lights flickered faintly as emergency power rerouted. We cannot stay here, she said. They will return with stronger measures. Where do we go? Aaron asked. She looked at the small room, then back at him. Anywhere you choose, she replied. This was your test, not of strength, not of obedience. Then of what? She met his eyes. Of what you do when the universe walks into your room without knocking. The ship trembled again, stronger this time. Alarms began to echo faintly in the distance. Aaron straightened his shoulders. Then let's move, he said, before it knocks louder. The woman's lips curved into the smallest hint of a smile. And together they stepped into the corridor, while unseen eyes across the stars recalculated everything they thought they knew about humanity. The corridor outside Aaron's room was dim and quiet, lit only by red emergency strips along the floor. The usual calm hum of the ship was broken, uneven, as if the vessel itself was holding its breath. Aaron stepped out first, his eyes scanning left and right, his body tense but controlled. The alien woman followed closely behind him, moving with smooth, careful steps. Where are the others? Aaron asked quietly. Confused, she replied. Their systems are receiving false signals. They believe I moved in the opposite direction. That won't last, Aaron said. No, she agreed. It never does. They moved down the corridor, keeping close to the walls. Aaron's mind worked fast. This section of the ship was mostly residential, fewer cameras, fewer patrols, but that also meant fewer escape routes. My name is Aaron, he said after a moment. She glanced at him. I know. That figures, he muttered. Do you have a name I can use? She hesitated, then nodded. You may call me Selara. May, Aaron asked. In my culture, names have weight, Selara said. They are not given lightly. Aaron accepted that without comment. They reached a junction where the corridor split into 3 paths. Aaron stopped. This way leads to engineering, he said, pointing left. Center goes to command, right is storage and cargo lifts. Selara studied him. Where would you go? Aaron thought quickly. Engineering was heavily guarded now. Command would be chaos. Cargo lifts offered vertical movement and access to maintenance shafts. Right, he said. Selara nodded. I would have chosen the same. They moved again. As they walked, Aaron noticed small details. His breathing had slowed. His hands were steady. Fear was there deep in his chest, but it did not control him. He had learned long ago that panic wasted energy. "Tell me the truth," he said quietly. "Is this really about a test?" "Yes," Solara answered. "And no." "That's not comforting." She looked at him. "The Coalition has debated humanity's future for many of your years. Some believe you will become destroyers. Others believe you will become protectors. My role was to observe closely, to choose a human and see how they respond when placed under impossible pressure." "And if I failed?" Aaron asked. Solara did not answer immediately. "They would move forward with containment," she said at last. Aaron stopped walking. "Containment how?" "Isolation at first," she said. "Later, removal." Aaron stared at the wall for a second, then resumed walking. "So my reaction decides the fate of my species," he said flatly. "No," Solara replied. "Your reaction informs it." "That's not much better." They reached a cargo lift. Aaron tapped the manual panel, bypassing the locked interface. The lift hummed and began to descend. As it moved, Solara watched him closely. "You do not ask why you," she said. "I already did," Aaron replied, "and I know the real answer." "Tell me." "Because I'm not special," he said. "I'm average. If an average human can do this, then maybe most of us can." Solara's eyes softened slightly. "You understand more than you think." The lift slowed, then stopped between decks. "That wasn't me," Aaron said. The lights flickered. The lift shuddered. "They have corrected their data," Solara said. "They know we are nearby." A sharp sound echoed above them like metal being cut. "They're not subtle," Aaron said. "They do not need to be," Solara replied. "They are used to fear." The ceiling panel began to glow faintly. Aaron looked around the lift, his eyes landing on the emergency release hatch in the floor. "Can you slow them?" he asked. "For seconds," Solara said. "Then that's enough." He dropped to his knees and pulled the hatch open. Below was a narrow maintenance shaft, dark and tight. Solara placed her hand against the ceiling. The glowing lines appeared on her skin again, brighter this time. The air vibrated. "Now," she said sharply. Aaron dropped into the shaft, sliding down and bracing himself against the walls. Solara followed, landing lightly beside him just as the lift above screamed and tore open. They moved quickly through the shaft, crawling and sliding until it opened into a narrow service corridor. Aaron slammed the panel shut behind them. For a moment, both of them stood still, breathing hard. "You risk yourself for strangers," Solara said. "Why?" Aaron wiped sweat from his brow. "Because they're not strangers, they're my people." "That answer is inefficient," she said. "It's human," he replied. They continued moving. Alarms were louder now, echoing through the ship. Crew members ran past distant intersections, shouting in multiple languages. None noticed them. "They fear chaos," Solara said as they walked. "Humans move through it." "We don't like it," Aaron said. "We just don't stop." They reached an observation deck, empty now, its wide window showing the endless black of space dotted with stars. The ship's reflection drifted across the glass. Solara stopped. "This is as far as I can go unseen," she said. "They are adjusting." "So what now?" Aaron asked. "Now," she said, "you decide." She turned to face him fully. "If you continue helping me, you will be marked, watched forever. Your life will never return to quiet. And if I walk away," she held his gaze, "then I will be taken. And humanity's future will be decided without your voice." Aaron looked out at the stars. He thought of Earth, of crowded cities and empty deserts, of people arguing, laughing, surviving. "You know," he said slowly, "we're not perfect. We fight each other all the time." "Yes," Solara said, "that is one of their concerns. But we also protect each other," Aaron continued, "even when it costs us, especially then." He turned back to her. "I'm not letting them decide for us." A deep sound rolled through the ship, not an alarm, something heavier. "They have arrived," Solara said quietly. Outside the window, space seemed to bend. Shapes emerged, massive and dark, like shadows pulling themselves into reality. Aaron felt small. "Those are coalition vessels?" he asked. "Yes, they're big." "Yes," Aaron nodded once. "Then we need to be smarter." "How?" Solara asked. Aaron smiled faintly. "You wanted to test humans," he said. "Let's give them a better sample." He moved to a nearby console and began typing rapidly. "What are you doing?" Solara asked. "Opening a channel," Aaron said. "Not to them, to everyone." The console beeped warnings. He ignored them. "This ship has recording arrays tied to civilian networks," he said. "Research transparency laws, nobody thought they'd matter." Solara watched the data stream. "You are broadcasting," she realized. Unfiltered, to every allied species, Aaron said, and a few neutral ones. The screen lit up with camera feeds, crew members running, systems failing, strange distortions in the air. And now, Aaron said, his fingers flying, I'm uploading your testimony. Solara stiffened. You did not ask my consent. I know, Aaron said. I'm sorry, but secrecy is their weapon, not ours. For the first time, Solara looked uncertain. They will deny it, she said. Maybe, Aaron replied, but people will ask questions, and once they do, control gets harder. The ship shook violently. They are attempting to sever the broadcast, Solara said. Let them try, Aaron replied. Human systems are messy, hard to fully shut down. A voice echoed through the observation deck, deep and layered, not coming from any speaker. Human Aaron Cole, it said, cease your actions. Aaron felt the sound in his bones. You know my name, he said aloud. We know all of you, the voice replied. Your species is unstable. Maybe, Aaron said, but we're not silent. Solara looked at him, something like awe in her eyes. You are changing the parameters, she said. That's what we do, Aaron replied. The pressure in the air increased. Aaron struggled to breathe. They are forcing a decision, Solara said. Now. Aaron's vision blurred, but he kept his hands on the console. Then let them see this, he said. The broadcast reached its peak. Data spilled outward like a flare, carrying Solara's words, the ship's chaos, and Aaron's calm voice explaining what was happening. The pressure vanished suddenly. The stars outside shifted as the massive shapes paused. Silence fell. Solara straightened slowly. They are reconsidering, she said. Aaron slumped against the console, exhausted. Good, he said weakly, because I'm out of ideas. Solara placed a hand on his shoulder. You have done more than survive, she said. You have shown them something they did not expect. What's that? Aaron asked. That humans do not endure alone, she replied. You endure together. Outside, the coalition vessels remained, unmoving. And across the galaxy, countless minds watched, listened, and began to question what they thought they knew about humanity. The observation deck was silent now, but the weight of what had just happened pressed against Aaron like gravity. The stars outside looked the same, cold and distant, but something had shifted. Somewhere across space, powerful eyes were watching, reconsidering everything they believed about humanity. Aaron's hands hovered over the console, still warm from the hours of work, his body trembling with exhaustion and adrenaline. Solara stood beside him, her eyes scanning the stars as if she could see the watchers themselves. They've stopped attacking, Aaron said, his voice rough. They're waiting, Solara nodded slowly. They are listening, observing, processing. She paused, then turned to him. You have changed the narrative, Aaron. Humanity is no longer just a variable to be measured. You've made them question it. Aaron leaned back against the wall, finally allowing himself to breathe fully. I didn't do it for glory, he said. I did it because it was the right thing, because leaving you there, leaving anyone to be taken, that's not how humans survive. Solara studied him closely. For the first time, she seemed unsure. Your species, it is remarkable. Even untested, even unprepared, it does not break under impossible pressure. You do not only endure, you adapt, you improvise, you protect. Aaron shook his head, trying to make sense of the praise. I'm just me. I did what anyone else would do if they had the choice. You underestimate yourselves, Solara said softly. Most species, when faced with what you have faced tonight, would collapse. Even the strongest minds would fracture. Humans, you think, you act, you survive. That is why they fear you, but also why they can trust you. Aaron took a deep breath and looked out at the black void beyond the glass. He remembered Earth, its chaos, its beauty, its stubborn, unyielding life. Somehow all of it had led him here. All of it had prepared him for this moment. They're going to offer something, aren't they? He asked. Solara's eyes reflected a faint glimmer of the starlight. Yes. The Coalition has decided to give humanity a role no other species has ever held. Guardians, observers, protectors of balance. They will test this offer, of course, but you have proven that humans can act responsibly even when the stakes are unimaginable. Aaron let out a long breath, a mix of relief and disbelief. So my species were being trusted? Solara smiled faintly. More than trusted, chosen. The deck shook suddenly, but this time not from aggression. It was a subtle tremor, the ship's systems adjusting to incoming coalition vessels. Outside, massive forms moved into formation, their sleek lines and vast scale almost overwhelming. Aaron had seen ships before, but these were not just warships. They were statements. Statements of observation, patience, and consideration. They are not leaving, Aaron said. Not yet. No, Solara said. They will wait until humanity formally accepts the responsibility, until they are certain you understand what is at stake. Aaron rubbed his eyes. And how do we do that? Solara stepped closer, placing her hand on the glass for a moment. By showing them what it means to be human, by demonstrating compassion, intelligence, and restraint, even when the universe throws everything at you. By acting with courage that does not need weapons to prove itself. Aaron stared at her. You make it sound so simple. It is not simple, she said. It is necessary, and you, Aaron, have already shown the first step. The silence stretched for a moment, filled only by the faint hum of the ship's emergency power. Then Solara spoke again, her voice low and deliberate. You will be called to speak before the coalition. Your actions tonight will be examined, your choices analyzed. They will want to know why you acted as you did, what guided your decisions. Aaron's stomach tightened. They're going to watch me. They are, Solara said, but they are not your enemies. They are trying to understand you, your species, your potential. If you can show them humanity's strength in both thought and action, they will know we are ready. Aaron looked around at the empty observation deck, at the ship that had become a battlefield of wits rather than weapons. He realized something crucial. This was more than survival. This was representation. Everything he did now would reflect the countless lives of humans across the galaxy. Then we need a plan, he said. We can't just wait, Solara nodded. Agreed, first we secure this deck. Keep it isolated from ship systems that might betray our presence. Then, we move to the command hub. From there, we can communicate directly with the coalition without risking interference. Aaron swallowed, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He had survived drills, simulations, and even combat situations before, but nothing like this. Not only was his life on the line, but the fate of his species hung in the balance. He glanced at Solara. I'm ready if you are. She gave him a brief nod. Then let us proceed. They moved swiftly but carefully. Aaron led the way, navigating the maintenance corridors with confidence born of training and instinct. Every junction, every shadow, every flicker of light was scanned and accounted for. Solara followed closely, her presence a calm yet commanding influence. As they approached the command hub, Aaron could hear faint sounds of the ship's AI recalibrating, trying to restore normal operations. The hum of systems returning, the soft beeps of automated processes, all reminders that the ship was designed for efficiency and control. But Aaron had learned that human ingenuity often disrupted the best-laid plans. He reached the command hub and quickly accessed the main console. The interface was complex, designed for multi-species use, but Aaron's fingers flew across the controls, bypassing locks and redirecting communications. Solara watched in quiet admiration. You are remarkably fast, she said. I've had practice, he replied, and a reason to focus. Together, they initiated a secure channel to the coalition vessels outside. A holographic display shimmered into view, showing the outlines of the massive ships hovering silently in space. Each vessel represented countless minds, each one analyzing, calculating, debating humanity's potential. A voice echoed through the hub, layered and authoritative. Human Aaron Cole, you are recognized. Explain your actions. Aaron took a deep breath. I acted to protect life, not just my own, not just one individual, but all those aboard this vessel. I made choices based on observation, restraint, and the principle that violence is not always the solution. Humanity survives not because we dominate, but because we endure, adapt, and protect one another. Silence followed. Then the layered voice spoke again, softer this time. You have demonstrated qualities not seen in many species. You have shown courage, intelligence, and judgment. But one question remains. Do you and your species accept the responsibility we offer? Aaron glanced at Solara, who gave a subtle nod. He returned his gaze to the holographic display. We accept, he said firmly. We accept the responsibility to act as guardians, to observe, to protect balance in ways we can. Not perfectly, not without mistakes, but with determination and integrity. The response was met with a long pause. Then the ships outside shifted slightly, forming a pattern that felt almost ceremonial. Light lines traced across their hulls, signals of acknowledgement. Aaron could feel the weight of that recognition. Humanity had been seen and in that recognition trusted. Solara smiled faintly. "You have done it," she said. "You have shown them what humanity can be." Aaron let out a long breath, feeling the tension in his body begin to ease. "It's not over," he said, "but it's a start." "No," Celera agreed. "It is a beginning, and beginnings are always the most important steps." For the first time since the night had begun, Aaron allowed himself a moment to feel pride, not for himself, but for the species he represented. Humans were messy, chaotic, unpredictable, but in that unpredictability lay a strength no other species could replicate. They endured when others would crumble. They acted when others hesitated. They survived not through perfection, but through perseverance. The coalition ships remained outside, silent observers, but now there was respect in their stillness. They had seen humanity at its best in a moment of crisis and understood something fundamental. Humans did not break, even when faced with the impossible. Aaron turned back to Celera. "What now?" he asked. "Now," she said, "we prepare. The galaxy is watching and humanity has a role it must grow into. But your actions tonight have secured a place for us. You have changed the course of countless lives." Aaron nodded, a quiet determination settling over him. "Then let's make sure we don't waste it." Together, they stepped out of the command hub and into the corridors of the ship, not just as individuals, but as representatives of humanity's potential. Each step was measured, deliberate, a statement that humans were here, unbroken, and ready to face whatever the universe would throw at them next. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to the rise of a species that refused to be underestimated. And in that quiet expanse, Aaron felt something he had never felt before. The unshakable knowledge that humanity was no longer alone in the galaxy, and that its future was in capable hands, hands that would endure, adapt, and protect. For the first time, Aaron allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. Humanity had passed the test, and the universe would never be the same. The night was over, but a new day, filled with possibility, challenge, and hope, had only just begun.